All right, happy Thursday, January 25th. Hope you are well out there wherever you may be around the world. We have a wonderful global audience here, and we're here today to talk about how to land a data analytics job in 2024. As you read in the event description and so forth, data analytics is one of the hottest careers coming into this new year as artificial intelligence becomes more and more widely adopted and more data is needed to form large language models and understand how data looks, whether it's cleaning it, preparing it, ensuring that there's not as much bias, among so many other things. And so, if getting a data analyst job is one of your 2024 New Year's resolutions, we have the webinar for you today. Joining us here today is Omni Mornir. He's the founder of Dataford.io, a data analytics company that shows you how to land your job in this career field. He's been running this company for several years, and we're so excited to have him. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Omni, and let you figure out everything from questions and so forth to how you'd like to manage the chat.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks
for being here.
Yeah, thanks for hosting. As Albert said, I'm the founder of Dataford, and I'm currently lead data analyst at Poshmark, and I've worked in the field for over 7 years now. I've interviewed over 100 plus people from technical and non-technical interviews. What I found is many people are struggling a lot during technical interviews, and that comes with their, I would say, probably lack of preparation and also the fact that you're nervous. That's why I came up with this idea and project to build Dataford. Dataford is a platform to help you prepare for real technical interviews, and it has over 100 plus questions from companies like Facebook, Airbnb. So when you get a chance, you have an interview coming up, you have all kind of the tools to succeed. I would have loved to have this when I was preparing myself for interviews. So I decided to build this tool. And for those of you that are here, I saw a lot of people that are kind of beginner in SQL or in data. We have also courses that get you from beginner to expert level. I would love to share that with you at the end of the webinar. So basically this workshop, I'm going to try to make it a little bit interactive with the comments in the chat. But basically what we're going to do, just kind of to warm you up at the beginning, is to go over some SQL fundamentals, understanding all the like a beginner concept and advanced concept. And then I'm going to share with you the framework that's helped me get multiple offers in data analytics to get you to solve any SQL interview question. The third part would be kind of going over 2 real SQL interview questions, easy and medium level from LinkedIn and Netflix. And I'm going to be able to share with you how would we approach that, and having you as well interact with it so that you kind of feel what it's like to be in a real SQL interview question setting. The last part, as a partner with Albert, I'm going to provide a really special gift for the audience here. And then we're going to end the call with some question and answers. Awesome. So before even getting started, I think you need to know kind of the state in SQL interview. You need to know 6 topics that are mostly asked during interview. So I gather data around 1,000 real SQL interview question. And what you need to know, 40% of the time, basic function are being asked. So basic function, basically being able to count sum, average, minimum value, maximum value, all of this function needs to be known so that you can be at least covering the 40% of the interview. The other parts are ranking and ratios. So ranking is basically using ranking function. If you don't know about it, it's like row number, rank, dense rank, all of that stuff to rank certain column and values. Ratios gonna make you use left join. Basically, a ratio is like a division between a numerator and the denominator, 2 values. you need probably to know about left joins and rounding numbers and that stuff. So with basic function ranking and ratio kind of cover 80% of the SQL interview. The other 20% is like kind of the extra. So knowing further about window function, more advanced percentiles and text analysis is also what would make you also stand out. But for this workshop, given we have only 1 hour, we're gonna cover 80% to get you ready for your next interview. So just to get started, this is a simple SQL query. We use select to get this to display the row we want from a specific table, and we have condition, in this case, time between 11 and 12, and we group by 1 here. So basically what this query is doing is just counting the number of users by country. I saw people from Ghana, from the US, so basically if we have 2 people from Ghana, the count user ID will show 2, and for US it will show a certain number. So I just have one question for you here, just to kind of warm up the room. Like if we want to get the number of unique users, how should we change this query? Yeah, awesome. I'm seeing some answer already. Select distinct. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, exactly. So distinct is definitely an operator you would need to use to get like the count of unique values. Yeah, it's kind of just warming me up here. So we're gonna go over some exercise here to get to understand how to use basic function and what you need to know. Okay, let's do it. So if you're able to see the screen, we are using a table called trips. All of you probably know about Uber. Uber is a company to drive from A to B, and it's very known in the US. So we have a table called trips that has multiple values. So whenever you take a Uber ride, they track your trip ID, which is the identifier of the trip. The customer ID, meaning the person that's riding. So if you're taking Uber, that would be the customer ID you would get. Driver ID is the person driving you. The start time and the end time of the trip. We have also the distance covered and the cost of the trip. Awesome. So my first question, just to get people warm up here, like we want let's pull first the table, and I'm going to be asking some questions to kind of like cover some basic functions. So here's the table. Here we have this trip ID and customer ID and driver ID, all of the values here. My first question is, if I want to get how many riders for each driver we have. So that's the first question. So if you know how to write this, so we want to know for each driver how many trips they have done. So for each driver, how many trips they have done. So basically getting the driver ID and getting how many trips each driver has done. If you know how to write this query, please post it on the chat so that we can make it. So I'll give just a couple of maybe 10 seconds for people to write it down. So for those of you that did it, great job. So for each driver, we want to know how many trips they've done. So we can just count star. That would be the number of trips they have done. So we group the result by 1, and then we can run the query. So as you see here, this driver ID 65 have done 2 trips, etc. We can also order our result by the driver with the highest number of trips, using the order by clause. So if I use order by to descendant, you can get like the driver that has the highest number of trips. Awesome. Okay. Now that we did that, I would love to see if you're able to get how many riders each driver has gotten. How many riders? So if I'm driving today, how many people did I pick up? Basically, that's where would be. So number of users or customers. So feel free to put it on the chat. I just wanted to make it like a little bit more interactive, so it's not like a boring lesson. Awesome. So if you want to get the number of unique, I see Sneha answered count customer ID. Yes, that's good. However, if a driver has picked up the same person, that will not work out, right? Like if I'm a driver and I picked you up twice in a matter of like 1 year, I will be counted twice. So we would need to make sure to use distinct here. So distinct customer ID, I will get the number of unique customers that I actually picked up as a driver. Awesome. Cool. Now we would love to know for each driver how much distance they have covered. So for that, we would use the sum function to do sum distance as the total distance covered. Let's run this. Let's see how we got. So we have this driver that has 4 trips with 4 distinct customers, and that have covered 19.7 miles. Awesome. Okay, so let's do one last thing. I would love to know the average cost of each trip for each driver. How would you write this query? Awesome, I see average cost as well. So yeah, for this, we'd use that. By the way, for this workshop, we're gonna cover the most important concept in SQL, and then I'll be also talking about like what are the areas that will get you a job in data analytics in 2024. I think one of the most important skills to have is definitely SQL, because if you don't have good SQL skills, you're not even in the picture. So that's why I spend some time to explain you the basic concept. Then I'll be sharing with you kind of my tips to get a job in 2024. Of course, at the end of the workshop, we're going to also open the floor for questions. So anyone can ask any question they want. So you can leave this workshop with a lot of knowledge and great next steps to get that job in 2024. Awesome. So let's try to solve this question. So we have this question that's asking us, you've been asked to find the top 3 driver with the highest revenue. You need to assume that Uber takes 20% cut, all right? So the first step that we need to take is first for each driver to determine how much revenue they're generating, all right? So, so for each driver, we'll basically do sum of costs. So that's how much you're paying basically each driver. So like, let's call that revenue. If we run this, we have for each driver, the revenue they're getting. And now you know that Uber takes a 20% cut. So basically, if I spend $100 on a trip, Uber will take 20%, which is $20. So what's left for the driver is $80. So how would you change this query to account for the net profit for each driver? So we want to get that value, net profit. So how would you change it to make it happen? Yeah, awesome. I see some people giving some answers. So yes, you can do cost minus 20% of the cost. This is great. You can basically do 0.8 of the cost. So multiplying this by the cost will get you the net profit. And this is what we got here. This is great. Awesome. Now that we want to round the result to 0, so we'd use something called the round function to get our result to 0. So here there's 0 decimal after the, there is no comma, like no value after the comma. So it's like fully rounded. And we want to only find the top 3 drivers. So if you see from this list, we have like this driver that made 66, 50, and 33. We basically want just to pull these three users. So we can use the limit operator to do limit 3 to get that users. Awesome. So basically here, just wanted to share with you, this is one of the most important concepts in SQL, knowing how to do basic function. And here we covered sum, count distinct, averages, and even doing calculation within the sum. So with that, I think you should be able to get that 40% of your interview ready. Awesome. The next step is going through some ratios. As I said, the ratios are division between one value and the other. And I wanted to share with you a really good trick today that not that many people know about. And this is called, when you divide two values, like two values that are rounded, like 1 divided by 3, SQL does not understand exactly how it works. So when you do 1 divided by 3, since it's a plain number, SQL will just return a plain number. Let me explain how would that work. So we probably all know, we probably all know that 1 divided by 5 equals 0.2. Okay, so if I run this, unfortunately SQL will not understand and just round the result to 0. Why? Because 1.5, we all know that 1 divided by 5 is equal to 0.2. However, since 1 and 5 are plain number, SQL would be like, oh, I'm just going to round it to 0 because I don't know. I'm not going to give you decimal point because it's not a division of 2 decimal value. So there are 2 ways to do it. Either you create, like, you change it to a numeric value, and that would get you 0.2. Or you can also multiply it by a decimal value to get you 0.2. So this is something that not many people know about, and they kind of freak out during interviews when they see that their results return 0 and they think their query is wrong. Their query is correct. It's just they're forgetting this trick to make it happen. Awesome. So with that said, you probably, if you learn about something new, please mention yes, and that'd be great, so that I know that this is probably a new concept or like something that not that many people knew about. And yes, Brian, that's a great question. There are some languages that kind of are able to manage these ratios. PostgreSQL and MySQL are not able to do that. Awesome. So we have this question here that's asking to write a query to get the CTR of an app in 2022. An app means your device. Basically, imagine you're just scrolling around in Facebook, and whenever you scroll through a picture, it's called an impression. And if you click on that picture, it's going to be called click. We want to know the click-through rate of each device for the year of 2022. Let's run the query and see what we got. So we have app ID, which is the device basically, and the event type, which is like impression or clicks, and when that happened. For example, here we're seeing that's happened on July 2022. We had multiple impression. So the first step that I need you to take is we want only to filter results that happened the year of 2022. So we're going to use something called datetrunc, which is truncating the timestamp to a year. So it's basically giving the first date of the year. So we only want the thing that's happened in 2022. So that's why I'm adding this condition. So as you see here, all the timestamp are in 2022, which is awesome. Now, let's do something. You're probably familiar with pivot table in Google Sheet or Excel. This is basically exactly how it works. We need to count for each app ID. Sorry, I'm just gonna scroll up here. So for each app ID, I want to count how many impressions it's got. So I would need to do something to count the number of impressions. If you know how to do it, please write it on the chat. There is something in SQL that's kind of the equivalent of pivot table. that you'll be able to use to get the total. I want you to get the total number of impressions for each app ID. So it should look something like this. You just need to fill the gap here. So I leave you like a minute or two just to think through it. If you know, that'd be great. I see count app ID, manual. No, Brian, the question of Brian, can we assume that SQL Engine has a pivot operator? Unfortunately not. So there is, we need to find another way. Yes, I'm seeing some great answer if event type equals impression. Yes, so that's kind of the way to do it, Amit. You have the idea here. So what we're gonna do is basically sum when the event type equals to impression. I'm just gonna say, okay, then it's gonna be 1. I'm gonna count it as 1. If it's not an impression, then it's gonna be 0. So that will be my number of impressions. And the number of clicks will be the same logic, but instead of event type being impressions, will be event type equals to clicks. So that means the number of clicks. I think some people writing, Joey, you said event type when type impression. Yes, we could do it this way, but that will require to have 2 subqueries, one for number of impression and another one for number of clicks. That's why case function is case operator is very handy here to get this stuff. So let me get to this value. So we have for app ID 1, 2, 3, I have 10 impression and 4 clicks. So that's to get the CTR, we just need to do 4 divided by 10. So basically the CTR, as we said, equals to number of clicks divided by number of impression time 100, because we want to make our result to be percentage-wise. So if we do the same here, it will be basically this value divided by the number of total impression. So that will get me my result. Let's see what we got. Of course, we're going to get 0. Why? If you probably, if you're here prior to this meeting, we saw that like one SQL doesn't handle the right stuff. So like a division between 2 plain numbers. So we need to convert that ratio to a numeric value. So we would do numeric here. And when we run this, we get our result and not being equal to 0. So the question here is to multiply by 100. So we'll multiply also by 100 here to get our result to the 100 from 0 to 100. Now that we did that, we're being asked to round it to 2 decimal points. So we can use the round function and round it to 2. Let's see what we get here. So yeah, as you see here, 1, 2, 3 has 40, 62.5, etc. Awesome. So here's also a very important concept in SQL, being able to use the case function, because it's like pivot table in Google Sheet, and SQL is way more powerful than Google Sheet or Excel because it can handle billions of values. And that's why SQL is one of the most used language for pulling data. So if you're a data scientist, aspiring data scientist, aspiring data analyst, you will be asked this question during the interview, but also you'll be using that a lot during your job. So make sure to understand this concept as well. Awesome. So now we're going to go over the last one, which is ranking. I received a question from Peter. Can you explain the use function? Can you use the use function of date trunk? Awesome, date trunk. That's a great question, by the way. Let me try to show you that really quick. So let's go to over orders. So we have orders date. Here you see 2022 January data. So basically, what we want to do here, date trunc, it has can have multiple values. It can be month, year, or day. So if I put order date for this, let me pull them together so that you see how it looks. So 2021 is January 1st. It will be truncated to the first day of the month. January 2 will be truncated to the first day of the month as well, etc. So that's how it works. If it's a year, it would be truncated to the first day of the year. All right. So all of them would be January 1st. Awesome. Hope that made sense. Okay. If you want to. Awesome. So let's go over one last question. That's the most popular product from Facebook. I want to cover this concept because this is the 20 other % that you need to master your SQL interview. So I'm gonna go over that pretty quick. So we have 2 tables, orders and product, and we want to know the product that has the highest number of orders. So it's basically joining 2 tables together, orders and product. So we need first to join them together. So let me just give you an idea of how the orders table look like. Yeah, by the way, for those of you that are joining right now, we are doing some live SQL questions, kind of covering all the concepts that are needed to succeed in your next interview. Although it seems a little bit technical, it's going to be super useful for you and for your next role in data analytics. So please tune in. I'll be sharing something less technical in a bit. So let's dive in. So we have the orders table that have the product ID, the customer ID, and the date. And we want to know the product that has the highest number of orders. So we need basically to join orders and product together. And the way to join them would be on the product ID, because this is the common kind of the same column that's available for both. So O.product ID. If I do that, this is since I did an inner join, this would be all the product like vintage, leather wallet that has at least 1 order. Awesome. So now we want to find the product with the highest number of orders. So I'll just pull the p.name, which is a product name, and count the number of orders they had. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna look at the result. I'm gonna order them by descending order just to show you the product with the highest number of orders. As you see here, we have abstract Canva, organic green tea, and vintage. They have 3, 3, and 2. They're asking us to come up with the product that have the highest count. And if there is they have the same count, then we should find the product that comes first in alphabetical order. So abstract and organic, as you see here, abstract starts with letter A, organic starts with the letter O. So we want to have the abstract first. So we'll do order by 2 and 1, and then limit our result by 1. So we are being asked only to pull the product name. So 2 things we can do is just call a subquery called my top product. And then I'll call it back here on my query, basically just to select the product name. So that's, oh, sorry about that. So this would be my name here. So I'll be able to pull only the one that actually meet this criteria. This is great. Awesome. I'm seeing some question on the chat. Yes, great, Snehal. This is a great answer. Cool. Now, I think if you're here, wanted to cover how to approach any SQL interview. And for those of you that are, yeah, Brian, this is great. This is a very good question, by the way. What's happened if there is a tie? I actually wanted to cover this concept, but let me first go over the approach to solve any SQL interview question before diving into ranking function that I think would be super helpful. So I've been interviewing so many people in data analytics, and one of the key thing is they just dive into the problem without asking questions. And that's what differentiates a junior data analyst, or like an average data analyst, to a great data analyst. And this is the framework that I've been using, and I think you should be using too, to solve any question, either technical or non-technical. So before, when you're being asked a question, make sure to take time to clarify the ask. So I would really recommend asking clarifying question to the interviewer, and repeat like what you actually understand, like just restate again what your understanding of the problem is, so that you're both on the same page. I see many people just diving into the problem and they actually solve the wrong question, or solve it the wrong way, and that made them lose a lot of time. That could be definitely a red flag. So first clarify, then as you see, break the problem down into multiple steps. It's going to make it easy for you to solve SQL interview question, but also like non-technical question, because the interviewer or like wants to know your thought process before anything else. And then third, I would say just communicate. During the whole process, make sure to talk with the interviewer to make sure your approach makes sense. Only after that, then you can start writing your code, or like starting answering the question if that comes to a non-technical question. So these are the steps I've been taking that help me to land multiple offers in data analytics, and that will as well for you, if you start following this framework, you see a huge difference in your interview process, and probably you get multiple offers as well. So I would love to kind of go over two real SQL interview questions, but before, I think Brian raised a really good question, which is like, what if there is a tie? And I'm gonna go back here again and show you the question he asked is it's a really great question. So if you see this, you see abstract and organic. They both have the same number of orders, right? If I had asked you to pull the top product, even if there is a tie, to pull all of them, you would have pulled abstract and organic. But how would you do that? Because limit, as you know, it's only going to limit. It's just going to truncate the number of rows. So you need something more powerful. That's why ranking function are super useful here. So ranking function, there are multiple of them, and I'm going to show you each one. There are 3, and there is row number. Row number is, and I'm going to show you how they work. So basically, row number is just ranking the result from 1 to 5. As you see here, I'm ordering the result by count star. So descendant means the top one. So the top one, the one with the highest order, will be with rank first, 1, 2, 3. This is just a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The two most powerful ones for ranking are rank and dense rank. I'm gonna share with you how these both are different. So we call that dense rank. Let me run that. So awesome. So you see here, we're seeing abstract and organic having the same number of orders. Rank is great because there is a tie here. So it's going to give you the result being 1. Rank 1 for both of them, which is awesome. But the next row is going to be rank number 3. So there is a gap in between. So rank is useful, but if I ask you to pull the top 3 most popular product, you probably want to use dense rank instead, because here there's a gap in between. So here, abstract and organic have the same rank. The second best one is vintage with 2 orders, and the third one is Bluetooth, right? Headphones. So in this specific example, since we want to put only the top product, we're just going to use rank or dense rank. I actually recommend to use dense rank because it covers most of it. So the way I would do it is put the dense rank, call it like rank, and then have a subquery basically called my top product. And I'm going to call this function and do select everything from my top product and do a condition where rank is equal to 1. And that will get me the top 2 product. You might ask, oh, what if I want to get, can I do it just from this subquery? Unfortunately, window function cannot be queried from here. So you need to create a subquery and then call it again. Awesome. So hope, Brian, it answered your question. Awesome. Yeah, so that's a good question, Emmanuel. So why I don't enter a value in the function? Simply because it's a ranking function. You actually don't need to enter anything unless you want some specific, but most of the time you don't need to do that. For window function, though, you would need to enter stuff. And for this workshop, we're not covering a window function, but I'll give you at the end of this webinar some resources to train for it. Awesome. Since we have around 20 minutes, I want to leave a lot of time for questions. So I'll be, just for the sake of time, I'll be covering only one interview question, and this one is from Netflix. Netflix has the highest paying salary in data analytics, going at least for entry level over 150K. So these questions are kind of difficult to solve, but I think will be so useful for you to prepare for your next interview. So I'll try to solve it within 10 minutes. So that I can share the platform and give you kind of an understanding of like what you need there. So with that said, you probably watch Netflix. The question that's being asked is like, you need to find, the goal is to identify the top 3 videos that most users have watched as their first top 3. Awesome. So imagine you being asked this question. You need to take multiple steps to solve it. So we're not going to write any code right now. We're just going to try to think through it and solve it just with plain English. So the goal is to find the top 3 videos that most users have watched as their first 3 videos. So if you watch like 3 videos, like 5, we want first to get what are your, for each user, basically, user find their first 3 videos, right? And then like next step is like kind of count basically the top 3 videos of these first users, these 3 videos of users. And then step 3, just that's it. Yeah. How do we handle the ties? All right. So let's start with running this query, and I'm going to show you how it looks. So this query has user ID, video ID, and watch at. So user ID 1 has watch video ID at this time. So let's try to order it so that it kind of makes more sense for you to go through it. So order by 1, I'm going to order it by user ID. And I'm going to order it by the watch time. So as you see here, user ID 1 has watched the first video they've ever watched is video 53 at 9:15 a.m. And then the second one, 10:15, 10:30. We only want the top 3, the first 3, all right, for each user. So when we go to user 2, only want the first 3. So how do you do that? So how do you do that? You would need to use ranking functions. Yeah, I'm saying limit 3. Limit 3 is not going to work because you need to get that for each user. Limit 3 will only work for user ID 1, but not for user ID 2. So this is where you need to use a ranking function. So let me try to pull that for you. Video ID and then watch at. We're going to use row number or rank, actually. Let's use rank. We're going to use rank, and then we're going to order by their watch time. But the trick here is that we need to partition by user ID because we want that for each user. Let me show you how it looks. Partition by user ID. So as you see here, for user ID 2, we have 1, 2, 3 as their first three. And then when it goes to user ID 2, the count resets to 1. So this is the powerful thing about partition. You can partition by user ID to get it within the user ID range, so that this way we can get the first 3 videos. So let's start with the subquery. I'm going to call it videos. And then from that subquery, I'm just going to select the top 3. Okay. And you're going to see how it looks. We're going to call this column as rank. So let's see that. So yeah, this is so powerful because you see user ID 1, we only seeing the first 3 videos they've watched. User ID 2, same. User ID 3, same as well. So this is so cool because you can have the first 3 videos for each user when you use the rank function and make sure to use the partition the right way. So now that we have this, we want to count the video ID that shows up the most, okay? So I'm gonna basically do video ID and then count how many times they showed up in the first 3 videos of each user. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna order the result. All right, so we need to find the top 3. So you see here, we have video 1 has been watched 7 times, video 2, 6 times, 5 times, and 5 times. So there is definitely a tie here. So we need to handle the tie using a window function. Yeah, awesome. So let's use another window function. In this case, like we have to use dense rank. You know probably why, because dense rank doesn't have gaps between rows. So we can do over order by star in descending order as rank. Let's call it differently. Let's call it dense rank. Let's call it dense rank. Okay. Yeah. So if you see here, the reason I didn't choose a rank is because it will have gotten a gap here and it will be number 4. Let me show you kind of how it would have looked like if I had the rank here. Rank. So see, the rank function would have given a gap here and would not have been able, actually, it would have worked as well. Yeah, so the dense rank or rank in this specific scenario, because there was no problem in the beginning, it should be, both should work. So let's use dense rank, and I'm gonna call it my first 3 videos. So now I'm gonna just select from my first 3 videos from this table. Let me give some space here. So I only want to get the first 3, so I'll just use dense rank less than 3, and here I'm seeing only these guys. So I just want to get video ID and watch count, so I don't need the dense rank column. So I just I can simply just display them this way. Let's call it watch count, just to make it easier. Okay, so if I run this, this is what I got, and these are like accounting for ties. So let's run this. Awesome. Okay, so hope this was super helpful. I'm gonna go back to the slides and kind of like share with you other things that are super interesting. So this is this was like in this webinar we went over like the most useful skills to get in SQL to be ready for your technical interviews. For those of you that felt a little bit lost, and don't worry, we at Dataforward we build a learning path to get you from beginner to expert, and we cover all these aspects in detail, so you'll be able to digest and get ready for your next interview. Of course, SQL is not only the only thing that you need. There is also like non-technical skills requiring a great business sense. And the great part is Dataforward is partnering with product managers and experts in the industry to provide courses. And we are actually providing, going to launch a course end of February with product manager from Facebook and Walmart to get you to the next level. So that's the special offer that we got with Albert. Is a 1-year unlimited access for only $35. It's $160 that we discounted to 35, where we have like learning path, 100+ interview question. We also have a really strong community in Slack where we kind of help each other and like help you improve your resume. Everyone is so helpful, and we have also monthly live events where we bring people in the industry, kind of go over all of that. And you can use the coupon code, which is Albert. And I want to take this time to kind of show you how the platform looks like. So platform has a lot of interview. We have 100+ real SQL interview question, and you can go over all the questions by level, by topics. Today we covered basic function, ranking, and ratio, but you can go over window function, all of that cool stuff, and prepare for it. You can prepare by level, and you can also, for example, for the question that you already solved, you can review them again. That's I feel it's pretty cool. And for those of you that decide to take premium, we have also solutions that are very step-by-step, as I did today. And I think that will be super helpful for those of you that are looking to land a job. For those of you that don't feel comfortable yet in SQL or ready to solve question, we also provide this very simple learning path where we go over very simple concept of SQL, which is a mix of courses and practice. So it's pretty cool. I really, we have gotten really good feedback from people so far. You can prepare writing your first ever query, all of that stuff. And once you're done finishing the course, we have a final assessment. So that's awesome. You can actually solve questions and see if you're actually ready to get to the intermediate level. And of course, you cannot see the solution, so that's great part. You can just submit and then see if you succeeded. If you didn't succeed, get back to the course, and then you can get your level up and up as well. Awesome. I think, Albert, I'll open the floor to any question people has, and I wanted to just end with this. Please, let's connect on LinkedIn. I know Albert mentioned that at the beginning of the call. So my name is Amni. Just please send me a note. Let me know that you come from Albert's list so that I can add you to my network. I receive so many requests every day, so that'll be helpful just to know that you're coming from here so that I can accept your request.
Sounds good. So we have a couple questions. One is, I earned a Google Data Analytics certificate on Coursera recently. I was confused with the project they had us do, although I made an effort. I'm wondering how essential it is to submit a project or portfolio when applying to data analyst jobs.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think depending if you have experience or not, you need to probably do projects that stand out, projects that are different from other people, and not. I know in data science there are like Titanic project, all of that. You don't want to do something that everyone knows about. So do projects that actually stand out. I also highly recommend for those of you that are looking for jobs and are struggling, do volunteering work. There are websites. I actually post a lot about it on LinkedIn that can get you the first volunteer job in data analytics. Just pulling data, add that to your resume because it will be helpful to get that first interview. Yeah, so highly to answer the question, if you're planning to do project, make sure they're different from others so that you differentiate yourself, and try to find a job through volunteering work.
Awesome. Please compare a data analyst with data scientist roles and their salary differences.
Also, yeah, that's a very good question. Data science is, I feel it's embedded. There are jobs that are called data science analytics that are mostly using SQL and stats. So I would recommend if you want a higher paying job, you should definitely go for product analytics position. That's the one I have myself. That's kind of like just mixture of SQL and stats you can learn it by yourself. In terms of salaries, I think for a data analyst position that's not, as I said, like business analyst position, nothing about product, you can aim between like 100 to 120, but product analyst, data scientist analytics, you can aim at least for 150K. So there's a big gap there. And for data scientist machine learning, that's another area. Like I think you can aim for way higher than this.
Awesome. Let's see. In the Bay Area, it appears that most all entry-level positions, including in fields adjacent, require prior experience. As a result, a recent graduate may not even get the initial interview. How can we land the first interview in this market of layoffs and data analyst saturation?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The market is very saturated. As I said, you need to stand out. You need to find a way to be different. That not only comes from your project or your experience. You can find experience doing volunteering, but that's not only that. You need also to find a creative way to stand out, which is, right, how do I reach out to the recruiter? Not only applying, everyone applies on LinkedIn, but does everyone reach out to people that are posting about job openings? Probably not. So you can differentiate yourself doing that. I post on LinkedIn as well, like some tips. One of the tips is using Boolean search on LinkedIn to find posts that of people applying that are recruiting for jobs. So you can reach out to them on LinkedIn and see if they're to get that first interview. Yeah, there are multiple ways. You just need to be creative and not just apply blindly.
Yeah. What industry conferences and events, and maybe even meetups, maybe specifically for the Bay Area crowd, do you recommend that aspiring data analysts attend?
Oh, that's a
And which ones will we find you at? Maybe even speaking.
so I can answer the second question. We do we do events almost every week on Dataford. You can just make sure to follow us on LinkedIn. We do a lot of events. That's a mostly online event to go over the technical interviews and non-technical interviews. When it comes to like events in the Bay Area, I'm not sure. I don't go much to these events, so I'm not very familiar. But definitely, if you have a chance, network with people in the industry. If you're in the Bay Area, just add them to your network. Ask them about the job they're doing, and you can meet them, and potentially it can lead to a referral and a job soon.
Awesome. Um, how much time do you normally get in a technical interview to solve a SQL question like the one we went over today?
That depends on companies. I know there are companies like DoorDash that are pretty insane. They will ask you to solve 6 questions within 30 minutes, but these are insane. The one I shared that are for example Netflix one, probably 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes to solve. In general, we keep SQL interviews or technical interview to be around 30 to 45 minutes, where we ask 3 type of question. Usually it's like easy. First one is easy. If you're not able to do the easy one, it's kind of like, oh, should we stop the interview? But easy, medium, and hard. Hard would take like 20 minutes.
Nice. What are some examples of websites that offer volunteer data analytics projects?
Yeah, this is a good question. We in our private channel on Slack, we have kind of like websites. I don't remember the website on top of my head. We have like there are 2 websites that you can just do volunteering work. If you just make sure to, if the person that asked this question, if you connect on me on LinkedIn, I can share with you these websites, these links.
Awesome. How are you typically communicating insights after query results are returned? For example, do you send a simple email to the requester or exporting a data set into another application for further analysis? Curious to hear about your typical day as a data analyst, if you can share.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So um, there's no such thing as day to day. But what I can tell you is SQL is a tool um, that help you pull data, and from this data you need to come up with the right insights and communicate that to the team. People that you're communicating with, you need to know your audience. Most people that I communicate with are people from like execs or director level. So when you communicate with these people, you need to know they don't have so much time on their hands. So you need to be really straight to the point. So I like to do an executive summary of my insights where I kind of like start with the objective. What's the objective of this analysis? Why are we doing that? Like, why do we care? Two is what are the key insights that you found? Like 2, 3 key insights that they can remember. Then you can give a link to the analysis if they want to know more details about it. So with that type of email you'll be sending, people are going to have a great understanding of like what was the objective, what did you do, what are the insights, and only if they want to get more details, then they can do it. So just make sure to focus on the right thing on your message.
Mm-hmm. Does having a certification from AWS, GCP, Google Analytics, or Microsoft Azure help you stand out?
Uh, well, I'm not a big fan of certificates in general. That's just my opinion. I don't think it makes you actually stand out. It's more the experience and because if you think about it, the hiring manager or the person hiring you, they like looking at like how much value you can bring to the company. And I don't think a certificate will make any difference. I think it's more about the experience you come up with or like the project you come up with that's gonna make you stand out.
So, as a lead data analyst at Poshmark, if somebody walks through the door with an AWS data certificate, you're not impressed.
No, no.
Okay, all right. What is the passing score generally on a technical interview, and is partial credit ever given?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've passed I've passed people that were not able to solve all the questions, and I failed people that passed all the question. The reason that differentiates someone that's gonna pass is like their thinking process.
Mm,
When you hire someone, you want someone that is able to um, think through problems and solve problems, communicating their thought process. You don't want a SQL machine, someone just writing code. So that's why in interviews like Google, if you check software engineering position at Google, they if you just write code without like sharing your thinking process, you're not going to pass. So I think when I share this framework here, this is so important to make sure to communicate, break down before writing anything. So this is what will make you stand out.
awesome. I think I'll take one more question, and then if you have any additional questions, please reach out to Amni on his LinkedIn. Let's see. As a seasoned analyst who specializes in specific suite of SQL engines and tools, how would you sell yourself to companies that use different database systems and tools?
Sorry, I missed the first part of the question. Can you?
You're a seasoned analyst who specializes in SQL engines and tools, but how would you sell yourself to companies that use different database systems?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I think well, it doesn't matter because the good parts about SQL, it's kind of similar language. Even if you do Spark or you do MySQL or PostgreSQL, it's very similar. There are a few functions that are different, but you can learn that. So um, it doesn't actually matter, and I don't think company would care if you not have no experience in a specific language.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that's it for today. Amni, thank you so much for joining us. As for those of you who are watching, we do have that 35% discount with Dataford.io with code Albert. We will be following up with a recording and a slide deck, as well as how to get this discount. So thank you all so much for joining. We hope to see you again soon. And thanks so much and have a great Thursday night. Bye, everybody.
You.